If you want to connect your new GoPro Hero 13 to the DJI Mic 2, you have two choices. Like this, using Bluetooth, or like this, using the DJI Mic 2 dedicated receiver. What are the differences? Which is the right choice for you? Well, stick around and let's find out. There are many different reasons why you might want to connect a wireless microphone to your new GoPro Hero 13, and of course the DJI Mic 2 is one very good option to do that. And as I mentioned, you have two different options when it comes to connecting the Hero 13 to the DJI Mic 2. You can connect using the dedicated DJI receiver, which of course gets plugged into your Hero 13, or you can just connect them wirelessly using Bluetooth. Now this option was already available on earlier versions, but based on the input from many users, the Bluetooth connection was not very robust. And with the Hero 13, they have upgraded the Bluetooth to Bluetooth 5.3, which promises a much more robust connection. So today we're going to be looking at both ways of connecting the DJI Mic 2 to your Hero 13. We're going to look at how to set them up. We're going to talk about the advantages and disadvantages of each, and ultimately try to answer the question, which is the right one for you. Now, as usual, there's a lot to cover here, so I'm going to place the chapters up here and on the video timeline. But very importantly, before we get into it, this video is not sponsored, paid for, or influenced in any way. I purchased all of the equipment with my own money, and the opinions are entirely my own. And if you enjoy the video, please remember to give us a like and consider subscribing to the channel for a lot more similar content. So let's get on with it. Okay, so when it comes to connecting your DJI Mic 2 system to your Hero 13, the first thing you need to know is that there is no way of directly connecting them. The DJI Mic 2 system does come with a USB-C adapter, and yes, of course, there is a USB-C port on the Hero 13, but trust me, I have tried this and it does not work. So you're going to need some accessories. The one I'm going to be using is the Media Mod, or alternatively, you could use the GoPro Mic adapter. And of course, you will also need a 3.5mm audio cable. And yes, in case you're wondering, one of these does come together with the DJI Mic 2 system. If you're not familiar with the Media Mod, the way it works is you actually remove the door from the side of your GoPro. You then insert the GoPro into the Media Mod, and it is as simple as that. I now have a built-in microphone in the Media Mod, but I also have these ports on the back, including, as you can see, a 3.5mm audio jack. So we're going to plug our 3.5mm audio cable into here. The other end goes into the red marked port on the DJI Mic receiver. You can see it shows that connection. And you can mount this on the Media Mod very conveniently. And let's power on. You can see I'm now connected. You can also see on the display, both front and back, you can see the audio level bar that now appears because I have an external microphone connected. And if I tap on here, you can clearly see that it is picking up this microphone. Now, one of the benefits of using the dedicated receiver is that I can actually use a second microphone. And I simply pull that out. You can see from the display on the receiver that it now has both microphones attached. Okay, so before you attempt to pair your DJI Mic 2 transmitter with your Hero 13, there is an important detail you need to know first. That is that the transmitter has two different modes of operation, paired to the receiver or using Bluetooth. Now, if you buy the full set, of course it comes by default in the receiver mode, and you need to know how to switch it back and forth between the two different modes. So right now my transmitter is paired to the DJI Mic 2 receiver, and the way to put it into the Bluetooth mode is by holding down the record button for around about 3 to 4 seconds. So if I hold that down, watch the light on the side here, it changes from green to blue, and you can see now it flashes blue slowly. So this tells me it's in Bluetooth mode, but it does not currently have an active connection. And as you can also see, the connection to the receiver has now been lost. So now we can pair the DJI transmitter to the GoPro Hero 13, and the way we do that is by going into the menu, scrolling across, and you'll see Pair Device. So we hit that button to put it into search mode, and then we start the pairing process on the transmitter by holding down this pairing button here, and you'll see the blue light starts to flash rapidly. You'll see it appears in the display, so the Hero 13 has found it. Sometimes this takes a couple of taps, and as you can see now, it is connected to my DJI Mic 2 transmitter. If we go back out to the main menu, you can see the audio level meter at the bottom of the screen telling me that an external microphone is attached, and as I tap on here, you can clearly see that this is connected. Now you only have to go through the pairing process once. If you were to turn off the microphone, you can see it disconnects, and now the Hero 13 will be using its own onboard microphones. If I power the microphone back on again, it automatically reconnects, and now it is using the DJI microphone. Okay, so let's start out our test by simply doing a basic comparison of the different microphone options, starting with the onboard microphones of the GoPro Hero 13. Now, inside, in a nice quiet environment, and of course in close proximity to the camera, I generally find the onboard microphones to be pretty decent, but let's do a comparison to the different wireless options. Okay, so now I am using the DJI transmitter in its standalone Bluetooth mode, connected directly to the Hero 13 using Bluetooth. So how does this compare to the previous example where we're using the onboard microphones of the GoPro? Okay, so now we are using the full DJI Mic 2 system. So now I have the transmitter connected to the receiver, which is plugged into the Hero 13. What is the difference between them? Are you hearing any sound differences between this and the Bluetooth connection, or this and the onboard microphones? Continuing our testing now outside, let's start out once again with just a basic sound comparison, starting out with the onboard microphones of the Hero 13. Obviously, at close proximity like this, I expect the sound quality to be pretty decent. If I just turn away from the camera a little bit and move around, you can get an idea of the sound quality of the onboard microphones of the Hero 13. Next up, I now have the DJI Mic 2 transmitter connected using Bluetooth to the Hero 13. Now, one of the issues of Bluetooth is that it's pretty sensitive when it comes to having line of sight, but I don't expect that to be a problem at very short distances. So if I just move around here, turn my back to the camera, just slowly move around, you may possibly hear the odd interruption, but I don't expect that to be too serious at very short distances. Okay, so now we are using the full DJI Mic 2 system. I have the transmitter connected to the receiver, which of course is plugged into the Hero 13. This should in theory be the highest quality audio. So how does this compare to the previous examples? Once again, if I just wander around a little bit in close proximity to the camera, I do not expect you to hear any kind of interruptions, particularly at this very short distance. So let's do a range and obstruction test to compare the difference between using Bluetooth connection and the dedicated receiver connection. So right now I'm connected using the Bluetooth connection, and I'm going to take a walk up the hill. The maximum distance I'll get away is around about 100 feet, but I will also take a walk behind the RV to give you an idea of how the connection handles obstructions. So let's take a walk. So right now I'm around about 30 to 40 feet away from the camera using a Bluetooth connection, so we're pretty much stressing the maximum range of a Bluetooth connection at this point. Now what I'm going to do is take a walk behind the RV so you no longer have line of sight between the microphone and the camera. So hopefully you can still hear me okay, but I suspect you're probably getting a lot of breakups in the signal. And as I emerge out from behind the RV again, obviously I expect that to be restored. And similarly, if I simply turn my back on the camera and begin walking away, I'm sure you're going to hear significant interruptions in the signal. So here I am about 60 to 70 feet away from the camera. I'm wondering if you can even hear me at all at this point. If you can, it's performing very well, but I'm going to continue on my journey up the hill to around about 100 feet. And now I am about 100 feet away from the camera. I'm wondering again if you can even hear me. If I turn slightly away from the camera, I'm sure you're going to lose connectivity, but this has been the range. Okay, so now let's repeat the range test now using the full DJI Mic system. So once again, I have the transmitter connected to the receiver, which is plugged into the Hero 13. So in this configuration, we should be seeing the best results. So once again, let me take a walk. So at our first stop again, we are around about 30 to 40 feet away from the camera. I'm assuming you can hear me still with no difficulty. And once again, we're going to take a walk behind the RV to block the line of sight between the receiver and the microphone. Can you still hear me okay? Is there any noticeable difference between this test and the previous one using Bluetooth? Now I'm going to reappear. Is there any change at all in the connectivity between the receiver and the transmitter? Okay, let's continue on up the hill. And again, I'm going to turn my back on the receiver, blocking the line of sight, and we're going to head up to around about 60 feet. Now here we are at around about 60 to 70 feet away from the camera. This is well within the operating range of the DJI Mic 2 system. I do not anticipate any problems as long as I maintain line of sight. Let's see if that changes at all as I turn my back on the camera and head up to my final point of around about 100 feet away. So now I am about 100 feet away from the camera. Again, this is still well within the specified range of the DJI Mic 2 system, so you should be able to hear me okay. That may change as I turn my back on the camera and lose line of sight. And as I turn back towards the camera, that connection should be restored. But what is the sound quality? How does it compare to the Bluetooth connection? So let's just recap what we heard during the various audio tests. Starting with the indoor tests, I think clearly in that situation the wireless microphones produced better audio quality than the onboard microphones, but I will say that in my experience the poor video quality that I get from GoPros in an indoor environment like that is so bad compared to other cameras that I probably wouldn't use it in that environment anyway. Moving to the outdoor tests, there I thought the onboard microphones of the GoPro performed pretty well. As long as you are close to the camera and facing it, I think the onboard microphones do a very good job, and really in that kind of situation I don't see the need for any external microphone. Now, when you compare the two different wireless options, if you go through and review those clips, I think it's fair to say that the connection using the dedicated receiver overall is going to give you better audio quality. The sound was much fuller, there were better lows, better highs, and then of course there is also the stability of the connection. I think distance-wise, both did pretty well. We were able to maintain a good signal even at 100 feet with the Bluetooth connection, but as we saw, the slightest obstruction, even something as simple as your arm going across the front of the microphone, can easily cause a disruption which will ruin your audio. So let's talk about the advantages of each connection type, starting with the full system where we are connecting the microphone to the dedicated DJI receiver. Well, I think first off, as we just talked about, ultimately this is going to give you the best audio quality. And do keep in mind that in the tests that we just looked at, everything was just set to the automatic out-of-the-box settings. Using the receiver, you also have a lot of control over the sound to be able to fine-tune things with levels, low-cut filters, and so on to be able to optimize the sound. And also, as we saw during the testing, this configuration is definitely going to give you the best signal stability. And of course, another big advantage of this configuration is that you can use not just one but two microphones together with your Hero 13. Now, when it comes to the Bluetooth configuration option, I think there are basically three key advantages, the first of which being the simplicity of this setup. There's really no preparation time, you don't have to hook things up and install things, you basically just power on the devices, they connect automatically, and you're ready to start recording. Secondly, and I think this is a big one when you consider how a lot of action cameras are used, is in this configuration, your GoPro remains completely weatherproof or waterproof. And thirdly, of course, is the cost. So if this solution works for you, you don't have to buy the entire DJI Mic 2 kit for $350. You could just buy a standalone transmitter for $99, and that is all you need to spend. Even with this basic configuration, if there are times where you are concerned about the stability of your signal or the quality of the audio, you still have the option to do standalone recording on the microphone itself, even in 32-bit float quality, which you can then synchronize in post-processing, and your audio quality will be every bit as good as when using the dedicated receiver. So clearly the DJI Mic 2 system can be a valuable addition to your GoPro Hero 13 and help you get better quality audio than the onboard microphones. Overall, using the full system is going to get you better results in terms of audio quality and connectivity, but depending on your situation, you may find that the Bluetooth connection is more practical. So that about covers it for combining the GoPro Hero 13 with the DJI Mic 2 system. I hope you enjoyed the video and got good information out of it. If so, please remember to give us a like and also consider subscribing to the channel. I plan on doing a lot more videos on the GoPro Hero 13 features, including comparing it to some of its key competitors. If you have any questions, comments, if you want to share your experiences or have suggestions for future videos, please drop those into the comments section. Otherwise, thanks for watching.